Didi is firmly of the view, obviously, that we do have the personnel to do better. Would you share that view?
Well, on tonight's game, I feel like they were there for the taking, and it's something so simple. They made a tactical change at half-time. They changed from a three at back and two wing backs to a fourth at back, went 4-4-2. And then we just didn't adjust to that, and you see the goal results almost in them having an overload on the wing area, us not tracking the runner, but us not understanding that they've changed the shape to make so that they can be better against us. We didn't adjust to that, and then by the time we did, it was too late. So it's little things like that make the difference. And against top quality nations that have players that can produce in moments, that can happen. Like in the pecking order, we probably should be toured on paper based on players, but when it comes to nights like this, when you have an opportunity to beat these teams and they're there for the taking, it's about us taking it and getting that message across, and we fell away from what we were doing right.
The thing about it is it's not just momentary mistakes against the top teams. We're not in the position we're in because of the small margins against teams that are occupied by players who are playing in the top clubs. Like, go through the list of results we've had at this point. Like, it's a big picture chat now here we're looking at. In isolation, no big deal. You lose at home to Netherlands. They're far better individually than some of us.
Not because we actually could have beat them.
Exactly, right? So in isolation, every one of the disappointing nights we've had in the last 3 years is kind of understandable. There's some wider context you can point to say, calm down, relax, we're potentially going in the right direction. We've run out of road, right? For 3 years, the conversation, and I'm not pointing the finger at, I've been doing it. We're leading with excuses and explanations and mitigating factors and expressing disappointment, but hanging on to a little bit of hope. We're just a team that can't win matches when it matters. And you can't continue doing that. We keep talking about the reasons, and actually there's something else worth focusing on here other than the fact that we didn't get the result we wanted. You can't do that indefinitely. Every previous manager that's managed this team, we've judged them to a particular standard, and it was about results. And I think failing to do that to Stephen is actually an insult to the fella. Like, he should be judged on results. We've lost 4 out of the 5 games in this group under him. This was a campaign, if you remember, he said during the World Cup qualifiers, it's all about this campaign. It couldn't be gone any worse than it is.
Okay, but I mean, the question has to be asked then, what could he have done that would have been different? I mean, very few people have argued, first of all, very few people have argued with his team selection. So would you agree that the team selections were...
This is a stick with Stephen pitch from you, is it?
No, I'm asking the question, what could have he done differently? Because the team selection, probably everybody went along with it.
There's a again, in any one game, in any isolation, you can point to Doherty, poor header for the goal. Shane Duffy, couple of positional, poor play, allowed the penalty, allowed the second goal, right? Every single game, and the list is long. There's 21 competitive games we didn't win. Not a lot of them are top tier 1 teams, very few of them are. And we can point to individuals, but there's a manager here in charge, which is in charge of the dressing room, the culture of the team, and standards. And game after game, we hear him talk about the positives. Let's roll on, and it'll improve. We're all playing for tomorrow. We're waiting for tomorrow.
Yeah.
It'll change tomorrow. It'll change in the next game. It'll improve. We haven't seen the improvement, and we've got to sit back and go, okay, this is what it is. We're a team that's managed by someone who can't deliver results when it matters.
And is it a case of Didi a failure to react to an evolving game, a fluid game, when things change, when we're under pressure, that the reaction from the sideline isn't correct?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I would never blame him for making a change or playing this player or that player, because he's got to make a decision with his coaching staff, and it might be wrong. I'm sure he does it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But he failed to win in the first 10 games, and there's teams like Qatar, Luxembourg, Finland, twice, Wales, and we can always say, the players are not good enough. But don't you think that there's somebody out there who gets more out of these players? Because as I said, Saudi Arabia, they beat Argentina in the first game of the World Cup. Is Saudi Arabia a better team than Ireland? I don't think so. So it's possible. But unless you beat them, and once you beat a team, and once you have a good result, I think the best team he's beat, or the highest ranked team, was Scotland. Unless you beat them, you don't know how good you are or you can be. Because if you beat them tonight, you're still in the group, you get a bit of confidence, it's a completely different mindset. And all this talk about only losing by 1 goal, giving 18 or 19 people their debuts, Martin O'Neill gave as many people their debut as he did. Trapattoni gave even more players their debut. He never talked about them. He talked about it because he wanted to buy himself time. He bought himself 3 years without winning anything, winning 5 out of 25 or 26 competitive games. Other managers, I think, should have gone. If he hadn't been from the League of Ireland, I think other managers wouldn't have been given the opportunity to play the qualifying campaign. And at some stage, you've got to say, this is not good enough. And there's 50,000 here tonight. They deserve better. And it's not about tonight, because you can lose against these, but you can't lose the way they did, because they were there for the taking today. Moving forward, something has to be done, because the punters, the people, they deserve better.
It's the mindset, though. That's the thing I think that is huge, is because we've kind of got into this rhythm now where we're in a position where we give good performance, but we lose, and that's acceptable. I don't think that should be acceptable. I know we're talking about the players, and we probably are picking from a pool of players that are played probably at a lower standard than we've had for generations, I would have think, when you think of before in the past. And, you know, hey, don't harp on about my time. It's not that. It's about, that's where we are. But can he get better from that? And can he get a mindset from the players that we can actually see this game through and win these games? And when we go into those teams that are deemed as lesser than the Netherlands and France, can we beat them? And that hasn't happened. And I think that's what the issue is.
Do you think Stephen Kenny has taken this group of players as far as he can take them?
Yeah, I would say he probably has. I can't see. I don't feel like that if we continue on this, that he will qualify for something, even though we've been drawn against France and Netherlands, which are, you know, really tough teams. And, you know, on paper, they should be finishing above us, what they do, the infrastructure, the level that their players are playing at. But tonight, we could have beat them. And why did we not tactically do something or win the game, you know, address the situation where they were dominating us, and then get them point across to the lads that if we keep doing the same thing that we did in the first few moments, we'll get some from this game. And I think it's hard to continue on in this vein where we feel like we're so far removed from qualifying for a major tournament. Like, the closest we're going to qualify for qualifying is if we actually get to host the tournament in 28.
Yeah. We're 12 points off top after 5 games. We're 6 points behind Greece with 3 games to go. Our last game is away against the Dutch. Like, we can't
accept this.
We can't accept this. You asked a good question. Has he taken them as far as he can? Whatever the answer is, if this is the level that we're at, we cannot accept this. 1 win in 5, 4 defeats in 5. This is not acceptable. So the FAI basically have a decision now going. There's no argument that anyone can make anywhere credibly saying that Stephen deserves a new contract. I'm firm on that now. I said the opposite over the last couple of campaigns, but I think we're at the stage now. It's whether or not the FAI can sit back and go, is there merit in making the change before the final game? We may have a playoff in March. What is the discussion around the merit of replacing him in the meantime? This is a difficult, I don't like...
No, it's a difficult conversation to have.
It's an awful conversation, but that's where we're at. This is a game at senior level where results matter. He's had more patience, more support from the crowd, from the media, from the FAI than anyone else has been given the run of results he's had.
So, Didi, is this the time to make the change? I mean, we have to consider the outside possibility of us making a Nations League playoff. Should a new manager be in place in the lead up to that, no matter what happens for the rest of this qualifying campaign?
Well, one thing, first, when you hear him talk, when he talks about his debutants, you always feel like he's playing with a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah.
The Irish team was as old as the French team on Thursday, and I think it was as old as the Dutch team tonight. You've got 2 games now against Greece and Gibraltar in October. Now, you have to think you're going to get into a playoff. Because if you don't get in a playoff, then it doesn't matter anyway what's going to happen. But you have to stay positive, and you have to hope you're going to get into a playoff. I don't think he should be given that playoff. He started with a playoff against Slovakia. They did all right, but again, they found a way to get beat. And don't forget, people say, oh, we would have qualified. There was another game to play against, I think, the winners from Northern Ireland against Bosnia. So that was only the semi-finals, so they were another step away. You have to think you get into the playoff. You've got 2 games now. I think it would be a great start for somebody to pick up 3 points against Gibraltar, hopefully beat Greece here. You've got 6 points. You've got a bit of confidence. Last game you go to the Netherlands, maybe get a draw there or a defeat, and then you go with confidence with somebody and with a bit of looking forward to a game, because people are deflating now. People come here, they didn't expect to win that game tonight because they haven't seen the team win against a good team. I don't think he should have been given the opportunity, if there was to be a playoff, to be in charge of the team.
I think the reason why this conversation is so hard, I think, is because we have an Irishman who's genuinely passionate about
Yes.
Irish football, and we all want that. We all want to have someone in charge of Ireland.
And it's one of the reasons the fans got behind
who
him.
But
cares-
passion only takes
no,
us so
no, I
far,
know,
Stephen.
but that's
No,
not.
passion,
I'm saying that's why it's a hard conversation
Yeah.
because we want someone like that to succeed. We want to get behind him, and we want him to take this as far as he can, reinvent Irish football, play a fantastic way of style,
Yeah.
and that's what we want. But it hasn't worked, and that's why we're in this situation. That's why we're talking about it in this vein, because after the France game, which is an amazing performance, they're not talking about this game, and we almost beat them. We almost got a draw. We go to the next match against Greece, and everybody's like, he's going to be judged on the Greece game. And no one had a realistic opinion that we actually were going to win that game. And there was a fear creeping in that we might lose that game, and you can't have that.
Okay, well, I think the consensus of our panel is it is time for change, and we hope to hear from the manager